Hello everyone, today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make this mini pumpkin pie. As you can see, it's super simple to turn it into a chocolate pie or whatever pie filling you'd like to use. There is a PDF pattern available on my Etsy and my website, so definitely check that out. I do have timestamps linked down below, so if you want to skip through the pattern. But anyways, let's hop right into the pattern. Some materials we are going to be using today is some yarn. I use Premier Yarn's Parfait Chunky in the color orange. I do have this linked in my bio if you're interested. We are also going to be using the color Toffee. This is going to be used as our pie crust color. We're going to be using white, which is going to be used for whipped cream. And you will need some pink yarn for some blush. And some black acrylic yarn for the mouth details. We will also be needing a crochet hook. I use a 5mm. You'll need a sewing needle, a stitch marker, some scissors, some polyfill stuffing, and you will also need some 14mm black safety eyes. Now that we have all of our materials, let's jump right into making our adorable pumpkin pie. Okay, to start off this adorable pumpkin pie, we are going to be starting with a magic ring 6. If you do need some extra help with a magic ring, I do have a tutorial. It will be linked in the description, so definitely check that out if you need help, but row 1 is going to be magic ring 6. In this row, we are going to be doing increases. So we're going to be placing 2 single crochets into each stitch. So as you can see here, you're going to pull up a loop. You're going to have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through both of them. That was 1 single crochet, so we're going to put our stitch marker here to show the starting of our first stitch. And we're going to repeat that process, so we're going to do another single crochet into that same stitch. We're going to yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. We are going to be repeating these increases 6 times to get an ending count of 12 stitches at the end of our row. Okay, so row 3 of this pattern is a single crochet followed by an increase. So we're going to start off with a single crochet and put our stitch marker into the first stitch here. We are then going to increase into the next stitch. And then we're just going to repeat the single crochet increase a total of 6 times to get an ending stitch count of 18 stitches. So as you guys can see in row 4, we are going to be doing 2 single crochets followed by an increase. We're going to put our stitch marker in the first stitch of the round. And as you can see, I already have my 2 stitches here. So we're going to just follow that by an increase. And we're going to repeat that a total of 6 times to have an ending stitch count of 24 stitches. In row 5, we are going to be doing 3 single crochets followed by an increase. So once again, we're going to put our stitch marker in the first stitch of this row. And once again, I had 2 stitches done, so I threw in a third, and we're going to do an increase. And we're going to repeat that process a total of 6 times to have an ending stitch count of 30 stitches. With row 5, we are not going to be completing that last stitch because we are going to be doing a color change to the pie crust color. So we're going to insert our hook, we're going to yarn under and pull up a loop. We're going to have 2 loops on our hook. And instead of yarning over and pulling through, we are just going to grab our pie crust color and we're going to pull that through to finish the stitch, to then have our color change. And in this row, we will be using the front loops only. So it is very important to mark your back loops for later because we are going to be going back into those stitches. Okay, so now that our back loop has been marked, we are going to start this row. So it does look a little intimidating, but we're going to be placing 3 double crochets into 1 singular stitch, a total of 30 times. So to start off a double crochet, I'll show you guys a couple times here. You're going to yarn over, you're going to insert your hook, but only in the front loop only. That is very, very important. You're going to yarn under, pull up a loop, and as you can see, we have 3 loops on our hook. We are going to yarn over, pull through 2 of those loops. And we're going to yarn over again and pull through the last 2. So that was 1 double crochet. So we want to do that a total of 3 times into each stitch. So once again, you're going to yarn over, you're going to go back into that front loop, you're going to yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we will do that one last time for a total of 3 double crochets into that one singular stitch. So you're going to repeat that process 29 additional times. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have finished my pie crust. We are going to be putting one last slip stitch into the first stitch of this round. So as you can see here, you can kind of see the stitch embedded in there. We are literally just going to slip stitch that. I feel like it makes it look a little more rounded off. And now you can just tie your color change yarn ends together just to make them a little bit more secure. Okay, so in row 7, we are going to be using these back loops. That's why we left our stitch marker there. And we are just going to be single crocheting around the whole round. It is very important to count as you go. You want to make sure you have 30 stitches. You don't want your stitch counts to be off. So we are going to insert into that back loop. We are then going to be yarning under, pulling up a loop, yarning over, and pulling through 2. This is now our first stitch of the row, so we're going to move our stitch marker over, and then going through the back loops, you are going to single crochet 29 more times. Rows 8 through 10 are just single crochet rounds, so you're going to be single crocheting 30 stitches for 3 rounds. Okay, so now that your 3 rounds of single crochet are done, we are going to be adding our safety eyes. You will be adding your eyes between rows 3 and 4, about 3 to 4 stitches apart. Now that your safety eyes are in, we are going to continue on to row 11, which we are going to be using the back loops only of this round. So instead of like the round before where we're using the front loops, this time we're going to be using all the back loops, and we're going to be doing 3 single crochets followed by a decrease. So this is 1 single crochet, and we're going to place our stitch marker in the first stitch of our round. This is now our second single crochet and our third, and I'm going to show you guys just once how to do decreases in the back loops. So you are going to insert your hook into the back loop. You're going to yarn under, pull up a loop, and we're going to go into the next stitch. Yarn under, pull up a loop. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So you're just going to repeat that process a total of 6 times to have an ending stitch count of 24 stitches. For row 12, we are back to using both front loops and back loops. So nothing special here. We're just going to be doing 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. You are going to repeat this process a total of 6 times to have an ending stitch count of 18 stitches. This is where I recommend to start stuffing your pumpkin pie. You don't have to fully stuff it yet because we still got a couple more rounds, but you definitely want to start stuffing it now. We are now on to row 13, where we are just going to be doing a single crochet followed by a decrease. Another stitch marker is in. We are going to be repeating this process a total of 6 times to get an ending stitch count of 12 stitches. After you finish this row, make sure to finish stuffing your pumpkin pie. Row 14 is just 6 decreases to have an ending stitch count of 6 stitches. Once you are done with this row, you are going to fasten off, and you're going to sew the hole closed and weave in your yarn tail. Now that the main part of our pumpkin pie is done, we are going to be attaching some white yarn in between rows 5 and 6 here. You can go between 1 to 2 stitches. You could even go between 3. I personally usually just put my hook between 1 stitch. Just want to make sure it is center. We are now going to slip stitch just to attach. And now you are just going to chain 5. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then starting from the second chain from your hook, you are just going to do a single crochet followed by an increase, and you're going to do this a total of 2 times. Now we're just going to go right back into that stitch, and we're just going to slip stitch back into the pumpkin pie to secure it. We're going to fasten off and weave in our yarn tails. Now that our whipped cream is finally attached, we are going to start adding some eye whites to this plushie. So we are going to insert our sewing needle into the side of the plushie, and we are going to exit underneath the eye. We are going to insert our sewing needle now on top of the eye. And we are just going to kick it right over to the other eye. We are then going to insert our sewing needle underneath the eye. And exit back on the side of the plushie. Once you are happy with how your eye whites are looking, you can tie those two yarn tails together and weave in those ends. Now taking some acrylic yarn on your sewing needle, you're going to insert into the side of the plushie. And with smiles, you can kind of bring it up to wherever feels right to you. There's not a specific row count for this. Okay, and we're going to take that and we are going to enter on the opposite side. And you're going to bring it about a row down. Now you're going to take your sewing needle and you're going to go underneath that loop that was created there. And you're going to pull through that. And now you're going to go into that same exact stitch. And then we're just going to exit on the side of the pumpkin pie. We're going to tie these two yarn tails together and weave in the ends. Lastly, we are going to be taking some pink yarn on a sewing needle, and we're going to be inserting our blush into the plushie. Once again, inserting our sewing needle into the side of the plushie, we are going to exit about where you want to. I like to exit right underneath the eye whites, and you can bring it about a stitch or two over. And some people do like to double strand their yarn, but I'm just going to kick it over to the other side of the eye, right by the eye white. Okay, so now that we've pulled that through, we're going to go about a stitch or two over, and then we are just going to exit into the side of the plushie. And once you're happy with how your blush looks, you can tie the yarn tails together, fasten it off, and weave in the ends. And that is how to make your own adorable pie. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below, or you can DM me on any of my socials. I'd be more than happy to help you. If you are interested in this type of content, definitely make sure to subscribe and like for some more. I did do a different editing style this time because my audio got corrupted. So if you guys didn't like how I edited this one, please let me know. And I'd be more than happy to go to the original way like I did with the ghost tutorial. But once again, I hope this helped you guys. I have Premier Yarns linked in my bio. I also have the PDF version of this pattern available on my website and on Etsy. So definitely check it out if you are interested. But I hope you guys really enjoyed making this, and don't forget to tag me in your adorable creations. Have a lovely day, guys. Happy crocheting!